It all started with a Facebook group for John Michael Perez, someone who's closed $75 million in real estate volume just from a simple Facebook group that he has absolutely utilized as the foundation to grow his business. But we don't just talk about that. We talk about his 2-hour protocol, something he does 4 times a week to absolutely show up for his clients, his CARE acronym, which is absolutely incredible. And we even go down the line of exactly what he does in his Facebook group, partnering it with a newsletter, among other things, to scale his business. And the best part is he started the Facebook group because he needed a place to go for a resource of being a dad. So it's absolutely incredible. Stay till the end. We'll even talk about some surprises he has coming up in 2026. And if you at any point feel the need to reach out and you would like to partner with John Michael and myself, you can do that through the power of co-sponsorship with the Wolfpack. So book a call at reagentwolfpack.com, mention John Michael's name, and we can absolutely see if we can take your business to the next level through the multiple encyclopedias of training and support and live masterminds, as well as courses that can change your business forever. So without further ado, let's bring on my good friend from the Wolfpack, Austin, Texas, John Michael Perez. Let's go. As I mentioned, we have John Michael Perez from Austin, Texas. John Michael, thanks so much for joining me today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Too blessed to be stressed, and just getting after it as always.
All right, we're going to get right into it because some of the things you've done, both on the production side and agent attraction side of your business, especially over the last few years since partnering with us over at the Wolfpack, have been incredible. So it all started with the dads group, right? 3,600 members. And tell me a little bit about that and the community building that you kind of utilized as you made this transition over to the Wolfpack.
Yeah. So about 5 years ago, I became a dad, and I started several Facebook groups before that. But after I became a dad, I was like, man, I don't really have too many friends that are dads as well, that are around my same age. And I had so many questions. And what I realized is that if I could create a Facebook group that was a localized niche, which is, it sounds funny to be a niche, but it's, I'm a dad, right? And so a localized dad group, that there's so many other people that want to be a part of something like that as well, right? And then another realization that I had was there was a lot of people moving to my area that just needed connection. They just needed relationships. And then over the years, we slowly organically grew to over 3,600 dads that are in our local area. And what's really cool is that at the beginning, I didn't realize that it was going to be an amazing lead generation machine. And then over time, I just started getting leads after leads after leads. And I set up a system that systems and processes that really helps me generate a tremendous amount of leads through in-person events, newsletters, and building an ecosystem where I'm the authority figure.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that community obviously is shown through on the revenue share side as well. But it's the part I love about it is that you say like, oh, I have this need. I'm going to go learn it. I'm going to go do it. And you just built the community itself, which is an incredible byproduct of what actually is occurring with the leads and that kind of stuff. So, talk a little bit about the events that you've held and kind of how you really grew that community. 3,600 dads in one locale is pretty intense. So tell me a little bit about the growth of the community and kind of dialing that down.
Well, I think that so many people think that when they start a Facebook group that leads are just going to start pouring in. And the realization is that you have to build a legitimate ecosystem that is based in front-centered with value. And so how do we, what are the main things that you need from a lead? You need their phone number, you need their email, and you need their name, right? And so there's several thresholds that we're able to get through Facebook groups to get that information. And so, for example, when someone signs up to join our Facebook group, they have to put their name, they have to put their email. Oh, they don't have to put their email. And they have to also answer a few other questions in order to get into the Facebook group, right? Once we do get their email, we put them on a newsletter that is twice a month at minimum. And that newsletter is 85% value, 15% real estate related. Now, that is a little bit different than what most people say, because most people are like, I'm going to start a newsletter and it's all going to be about real estate. When in reality, we are constantly getting bombarded with advertising 24/7, 365 days out of the year. And so for me, I've tried to figure out a way that people would enjoy opening up my newsletter. And I always, if you're watching online, I always picture it as I'm continually giving things. I'm continually planting seeds with my left hand. And then in the other hand, eventually they're going to ask me, hey, what's in your other hand, right? And what's in my other hand is my real estate services. And so if I'm continually offering value, planting seeds over time, eventually they're going to ask me what's in my other hand. But what I came to the realization is nobody is interested in someone that is just constantly advertising themselves. And so what I do is I leverage like crazy. And what does leverage look like? Leverage looks like I do several events. I've probably done over 60 events this year alone, maybe even more. And that's not me being the expert for those events, but I'm actually leveraging people that are the experts, and they are training, or like an SEO class for small business, an AI class for small business. I'm not the person teaching it, but I am the person organizing the event. And what do you need when you put an event together? RSVP sheet, right? People need to RSVP. And so when people RSVP, guess what they give me? Their information. So if they haven't given me their email or their phone number when they signed up to the to the Facebook group, they gave me their information for the specialized event.
Yeah, when you hit them with something that they need. Yeah, and this goes into kind of a really cool acronym, your CARE method, right? Cultivate authentic relationships every day. And it's so powerful but simple. What gap in the industry did you create this for, and why do so many agents struggle with the consistency in that relationship piece?
Yeah. So what we're talking about right now is the CARE method, right? And so you cultivate authentic relationships every day. And so many agents, they want to get leads, they want to convert leads, but they can only do it at a very minimal amount, right? Like very small amount. This CARE method basically allows you to cultivate authentic relationships at scale, right? And so why do we do this? We set up an ecosystem that you are the authority figure in, right? So that now your clients, your prospects, your leads are within your ecosystem and not someone else's. Because if they're not in your ecosystem, they are in someone else's, right? Yeah. And so what are the main things with that? One, you've got to have a newsletter. We already talked about that, at minimum twice per month. And then also, if you don't have a Facebook group, you can also do Telegram. You can also do WhatsApp. But some way, shape, or form that all of your audience is hearing you from multiple layers, right? And so multiple layers means a Facebook group, WhatsApp, or a Telegram, also newsletters, also social media, right? And so now they're getting bombarded with value from you, and you're cultivating them from an authentic perspective.
Right. And when they're going to your group, it's, like you said, SEO planning or AI or whatever. So they're going for stuff that they maybe need. And of course, when real estate comes up, they're going to go to that group to ask about real estate, maybe, right? Maybe they haven't caught on, but I know that sometimes I was just watching you on another podcast talking about your, use of social media, pulling it off of the newsletter and putting it all together. But your social media starts with Facebook, right? Because it's a group. So tell me a little bit about how you're posting organically to drive people into that that algorithm. You have a 2-hour a day kind of system set up that I thought was really awesome.
Yeah, so I have something very interesting. It's called the 2-hour protocol, and I'll actually pull it up as we speak so that I can talk about it a little bit. But basically, I focus on 5 different things. The first thing is reset and refocus, so that I write down my income goals for the next 90 days, and I literally do that at least 3 to 4 times out of the week, right? And then the second thing, and I only do that for 10 minutes, right? I also list 3 actions that I've been avoiding that would have moved the needle the most. And then I ask who in my pipeline needs a follow-up or a personal check-in, right? And so that's 10 minutes. I try to do that in 10 minutes. And basically it's activities for 2 hours that have gotten me so many leads. And basically it's a 2-hour lead generating activity with several activities that I do. If you want it for free, I can absolutely give it to you. Go follow me on Instagram. But content that converts, I create content. I spend 30 minutes to create content. And then I spend another 20 minutes to literally inbox people and go into my DMs. I text people, I email people, I send 5 personalized voice memos. I use a prompt that says, hey, I'm just checking in. How's life treating you lately? Real estate or otherwise, I'm here to help. And then the last bit is local network activation. Actually, that's the 4th thing. Local network activation, which is basically shouting out local businesses, tagging them in stories, posts, just to build connection. And I believe in the law of reciprocity. So the more I give, the more I get, right? And so I actually send out referrals without prompting. So in other words, people aren't asking me to send them referrals. In other words, hey, Celeste, I was just thinking of you. You were asking me about a good handyman, a couple of weeks ago. This guy, Aaron, is an amazing handyman. I just wanted to give you his information, right? And so enough times that I'm giving Aaron's information, eventually Aaron's like, hey, man, I've got some business that my cousin, my friend, right? And so I'm activating momentum by just simply giving out referrals, right? And then also the last bit is cleanup and conversion. So that's just reviewing my CRM and spreadsheets, setting up one follow-up appointment, and then writing down three wins from the 2-hour protocol, right? And so it's a whole PDF sheet that I follow. Takes 2 hours, super valuable. I've gotten tons of leads from it. If you'd like that, if you're listening right now, I'd love to give you that for completely free.
Absolutely. Go follow him on Instagram, and I'll put his stuff in the comments below. But that's really cool how you kind of just bring that all together, and it's a constant, almost addiction to your goals and your kind of way. How do you do that every day, every work day?
I do that 4 times a week.
4 times a week. So that's, that's putting it in, right? As you know, from my channel, obviously, activating those, community and industry partner relationships through referral is absolutely the answer to all of a sudden have raving fans, not just from your consumers, but raving fans of other industry partners, other entrepreneurs. They're going to appreciate that, as they go. And Facebook is such this, obviously, everybody's there, right? I got on Facebook. I had a Facebook group private for my family because, you can't send aunts and uncles and everybody pictures of your kiddos. So you have that private Facebook group that you can kind of control. But the point is that there's a lot of dads on there, and that's, kind of where it's at. How would you rate your kind of engagement in the group, and kind of how has that been an integral part over like a WhatsApp or a Telegram or something along those lines?
Yeah, so my Facebook group has become a machine, and honestly, I just need to pour gas into it every once in a while, and it still runs, right? So I have an automated system where I have a social calendar, and so I post certain things every day in that Facebook group that creates engagement. Tuesday is the most engaged day for our Facebook group. We've got literally hundreds of comments every Tuesday, and that's because I activate the members to promote themselves on a Facebook post that I call Business Tuesdays. And so they're only allowed to comment on the post that I make. And so imagine if I'm the guy that made the post and I have a picture of me and my client that said, hey guys, it's time to post your business. And I'm here with my client. It's a picture of me and the client. Every time someone comments, it actually pushes that post up to the top of the timeline, right? And so now people want to promote themselves, so they comment on my post, and every time they comment, my post is pushed right back up to the timeline. And so every Tuesday, people are constantly seeing me as the expert in real estate, because guess what? I made an expert badge in my Facebook group. And if you don't know about that, on Facebook groups, they allow you to add expert badges. So if you were an attorney, if you're a doctor, you can actually put expert in XYZ in my badge. Every time I post, they see expert in real estate.
Yep. And I mean, how often is that a client of another dad that, is in the group, or does it even matter?
How often is that a client?
The picture. Like, is the picture of you and your client, do you always post?
Fairly often. Yeah, fairly often, actually. And what's really cool is that I actually personally ask for testimonials specifically in the Facebook group, because those are gold mines. Like, those are like warm leads that people see. I continually, like, it's funny. Everybody's like, oh man, you've got so many testimonials. Well, yeah, because I ask for them, right? Like, people aren't just going to do things unless you ask for them. And so I intentionally ask, I say, hey, we had a great time helping you buy that house down in South Austin. I was wondering if you could send me a testimonial on the dad's group specifically, and it's worked out so well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're collecting testimonials. So you have them do it directly in the Facebook group. That's where most of your testimonials are housed. Do you get them copied over to Google somehow, or how's that?
Yes. I ask for two, one on one on Google and one on the Facebook group.
Okay. So you're building that up, and pretty much, I mean, it's just a couple copy and pastes, if it's the same review and that, but that's cool. And I mean, that's proof of concept, right? The people are saying, hey, he actually helped this dad, this dad's group's helped me with XYZ. And so those testimonials are definitely key. And so, it's kind of rounding this Facebook group kind of talk out. Many agents think I don't have a community, or I'm not interesting enough to lead people. And you've basically done this out of, hey, I need a dad's group, some support, build community. So what do you tell agents who are struggling with that to get started, or, dialing down a niche to start a group like this? How do you help them overcome that limiting belief now in your leadership role of agents?
Yeah, well, so many agents, they think that since someone else has done it already, that they can't do it as well. And what we've realized is that although other people have done it already, there's still such a small piece of the pie. And so there's still a massive opportunity to generate the same strategies to generate the same leads, right? And so my biggest piece of advice is just to be authentic and to be consistent, right? And so what does consistency look like in order to get successful results? It usually takes about 5 to 6 months on most platforms. That's YouTube, that's Facebook groups, that's cold calling, full transparency. I mean, that's basically what I've seen from most agents. It usually takes anywhere between 4 and 6 months to start seeing real results, but that's consistent activity, right? But once you start getting over that 5-month hump, really, it's usually about the 5-month hump, leads will literally start pouring in, right? And so Mike Sherrard actually shared something recently, and he said that a lot of people, they'll work for about 3 months, and between the 3-month and 6-month range, there's this big dip in activity, and then they restart at 6 months that certain lead activity or strategy, expecting to get the results, but unfortunately, it's basically like they're starting over from month 1, right? And so it's just so important to consistently definitely do at least one or two strategies. I always recommend, like for instance, YouTube or Instagram and Facebook groups, or YouTube and Facebook groups. But anything more than that, just based off of my experience and based off of what I've seen agents try to do, and then they fall off, is if they try to do 4 or 5 things, it's just too much. And so I always just say, try to be a master at 1 or 2 things, and you'll definitely see success faster.
Absolutely. That's key, right? You have to continue to work and continue to work and continue to water that grass, right? It's like your seed analogy. If you're seeding a lawn instead of using sod, you have to hit that thing with water, especially down there in Texas in the hot summers, as often as possible. And if you just quit watering it, day 25, it's not just going to, pick up when you come back at day 250. So
surprisingly though, it's really cold here in Texas right now. I think it's about 30.
Yeah, that's what I hear. There you go. I'm surprised you don't have your parka on inside.
I do have my sweater on. So
okay, perfect. Good to hear. Okay, so you've built your brand completely around service and authenticity. You've said authenticity 4 times already. Talk about a moment in your career where caring more directly changed the outcome of a deal or a relationship, and how you kind of have snowballed your, real estate production as a result.
Oh man, this is such a good question. I love this question actually. So I remember back when I first got into real estate, I had the biggest fear of being successful in real estate, because myself grew up in a dilapidated trailer. I grew up on welfare. My parents never really owned a home while I was living with them. They were blessed a home after I moved out, but when I was living with them, they never purchased a home, right? And so one thing that I had, what's the word for it? Big, where I didn't feel worthy. Okay. I just didn't feel worthy. Right. Yeah. And I talked to a billionaire, literally a billionaire. You know him as well, or he might not be a billionaire, very close to it. And we were smoking some cigars in St. Louis, and I said, man, I'm just having a hard time with confidence. And he goes, John, you've got to hold your confidence within your intentions and not your abilities. And I was like, whoa, that means a lot. I think I've heard him say that online before, but it meant something different when he told me in person, right? And so what are my intentions? My intentions are to care more. My intentions are to find the solutions, even though I may not have the answers immediately. And so I remember specifically going to a listing appointment, and this client, they interviewed multiple agents. And she even mentioned, she said, John, the other agents, they know more about my neighborhood. They know more about the statistics of my neighborhood. They know more about the builder that built my house. But there's just something that tells me that you care more, right? And that really opened my eyes, because I was like, man, they're going to choose me, someone that knows less about the stats, knows less about the neighborhood, but they do know I care more. And so that really instilled a perspective in me that if I care more, I'm going to win more. Right. And so that's why I hold my intentions within my ability to care, because when I'm literally talking to my clients, they can feel it. They literally can feel that energy. Right. And so now it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'll walk into listing appointments and I really don't have to present. It's like they just know. They're like, oh yeah, you've taken care of my uncle. You've taken care of my neighbor. You don't even have to pitch me. I'm going to sign. Right? Because you've taken such good care of everyone I know that I trust you. Right. And in real estate is one of the biggest trust games. Right. We walk into appointments, we walk into meetings, and it seems like the person on the other side of the table doesn't trust us. So we have to figure out how to present value in order for them to trust you. Right. And so when you hold your value within your intentions, you hold your confidence within your intentions, their distrust walls come down, their shoulders come down, because they know you care.
Yeah. And being able to portray that, wear it on your sleeve, go the extra mile, do those different things. Those are all pieces of the pie, but also like on the back end, right? Your community building, the dads of Leander, like that's absolutely all wrapped into that brand.
Exactly.
And you're absolutely right. Like building rapport going into, showing appointments. We have all these listing presentations and all this fancy stuff. But here's the deal. Like if you show up and you build rapport and you figure out what they need and how they want to run their, the sale of their home, that's all they need to do is let you hear that. And then you take your expertise and you apply it with care and you're on your way. So it makes a ton of sense to me.
One more thing. One of the most important questions I ask my prospects or leads before they sign the paper is, how can I serve you best? Right? Like it's such a important question because you never know what's going on the other side of the table, right? You never know if they're about to get in a divorce. You never know if they want you to call them instead of text them. They never know. You never know if their kids are going through chemotherapy, right? Like if you could just say, hey, how can I serve you best? Right? That will help you care more, because if you get a genuine, honest answer out of that question, your transaction is going to be 10 times better.
Yeah. And I think this translates, right, in this world of AI and some fear that AI is going to take our jobs and things like that. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I don't know how long it's going to take for AI to show the care and love and stuff that comes through that. So
funny story about that. My wife showed me a video recently and was like, oh, look at this video. These dogs are walking out of the kennels and they're picking their owners. And I'm like, and everybody in the video is crying like, oh, they picked him. And my wife starts crying. I'm like, babe, I'm sorry, but that's an AI video.
And we're not getting a dog. That's funny. Yeah, it's definitely, for the marketing, for the branding, that kind of stuff, AI is here to stay. But obviously sitting across from the table and showing that care, I think we have a long while because, again, AI is going to know the stats. It's going to know the neighborhoods. It's going to know everything about that piece from a data perspective. But it's not going to come through and, have those emotional ties and have those things happen. Now's a great time to talk about this. You're putting out a book. When's that actually coming out?
Ooh, I think it's going to come out the summer of 2026.
We're putting a date on it, John. We gotta go. No. So summer of 2026, just tell me the title and tell me a little bit about what went into that, because it's very fitting to kind of round out this question.
Yeah. So the name of the book is called Care More, Win More. And it's because I believe the agents that care more win more. And it's built off the acronym that we talked about, cultivating authentic relationships every day. Right. And so it's a playbook, right? Well, we go through everything from building more confidence to why it's important to build more confidence, and even agents that think they have all the confidence in the world. I show tactical ways to build more confidence. And then also conversational skills. That's a strategy that most agents don't even know that they need to improve, right? How to ask better questions. I teach on Facebook groups. I teach on how to do flips, how to do sub 2, how to represent clients. I teach on the appointment process, right, from A to Z. I teach on so many things in this book, and there's just so much value. I share some amazing stories from when I first got into real estate and how my mentors completely changed my life. And then we may have a mutual friend that's going to write the foreword. So I'm really excited about that. He said yes, but I just haven't gotten it back yet.
All right. Perfect. Well, that's awesome, man. And, it's really cool, obviously, coming from that conversation at Arte and, doing those things to writing a book on confidence just because of that one answer. So
I didn't say Arte, but you picked it up.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. I don't know which one it was. So
it was Ed.
Okay. Yeah. That fits a little bit more, but yeah, obviously Ed Milet and the Arte Syndicate, John Michael and I are both part of that or have been over the years. But it's really cool to see that kind of foundation being built, right? You said that was 5 years ago, and now you're at a point where you took that one answer and now you're writing a book about it, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So I'm really excited for that. As far as, agents and, everybody wants to like dive into this, and I love that care is just kind of spread out. What are some mistakes that you see agents make when they're trying to jump into this kind of authentic self kind of brand building that you've gone into? What are some mistakes that you see other agents making? And I think you talked a little bit about the lack of consistency and those kind of things, but can you expand on any other mistakes you see in that kind of realm? Because obviously you're attracting agents now that want to do what you do, but sometimes, that it just doesn't work out as authentically as they would like.
Yeah, a few things. One, we live in a microwave society where they feel like they can do one thing and get a result immediately, right? They put the macaroni in the microwave and 30 seconds it's ready, right? And so unfortunately, we've got to build a foundation. We got to build an amazing brand, and then we've got to build ecosystems that are creating systems for our leads to be cultivated, and then also. Something I really want to talk about is a lot of agents, they'll see what I'm doing and then mimic it. Almost just like they would go to a museum and see a painting and say, "Oh, I can do that," and then go home and make the painting. But they don't know about the brushes, the paint that I'm using. They don't know about the styles that I do. They don't know about the algorithm that I set, right? And so, yes, you can mimic, but when you don't know the foundational pieces and the scripts and the actual strategies behind how we create hooks and stuff like that, when it comes to the wolfpack strategies that we teach on a weekly basis, right? You can mimic it, but you're not going to get the same results. Right. And so that's why it's so important to be a part of, and I've said this word like 50 million times, but I'll say it one more time. It's so important to be a part of an ecosystem that we all genuinely care about each other. We all genuinely get value. We have libraries of resources, and then we have 5+ live mastermind calls per week. And that's just for the Wolfpack. Like that's just for that. Like we have additional layers of resources as well from different agents and leadership in our organization. Right. And so, you can try to mimic it from the outside. You can do the same thumbnails. You can do the same titles, but you don't know what we're doing, right?
Yeah, and the content's in there. And I think that's a huge piece of it too, right? Because if we're talking about being authentic to your true self, like even if I did have all the playbook or, which I have access to most of those things that he just mentioned, I'm not John Michael, right? I'm Jeremy Kane, and I have to build it myself. And so that's the power of partnering with, an upline like the Wolfpack. And, you have the opportunity to co-sponsor both with John Michael and myself. If you're interested in that, the link will be below. Definitely mention John Michael and we'll get that connected as well. But certainly, that's the piece of the puzzle. Like it has to be true to you, right? You can take a playbook and you can run the play, but if the players are different, you might have to adjust certain different things. Or if you don't even like the sport that we're running the playbook for, you can change the sport, right? And kind of do those things. And I think that's a huge piece of it.
Another quick thing, and I know you've probably got a couple more questions or a question or two. One is when I first got into real estate, I didn't realize how important it was to surround myself with good mentors that had the results that I wanted to have, right? And so if you want a quick shortcut to the results that you want, you have to find people that have the results that you want, right? And so that was my biggest turning point. The biggest shift in my business was finding people that had the results that I want and then rubbing shoulders with them, right? And so that's why I've been able to sell, close to 100 million in sales was just based off of that, right? Yeah.
That's awesome. And so obviously translating this, I teach a lot on building your business where your feet are. I'd say all the time, constantly, like, I'm going to build my real estate rev share organization just like I built my real estate business, right? Through cultivating relationships and through industry partners and community partners. So now that you've reached your 160 plus agent group now with some major announcements coming up, talk to me about how you've infiltrated that into your agent protocol community, into your rev share organization.
So when you say infiltrate, what do you mean?
How have you just like given the knowledge to them, or how have you brought care to the growth of that business as you did to your production business?
Yeah, so I do the same strategies, right? We've created an ecosystem. We've created a culture. We've given. We've recognized as much as possible the agents that are truly plugging in. And then also we just figure out digital assets and we give them out for free, right? Like, the 2-hour protocol, the 50 video scripts, the buyer scripts, the seller scripts. We're creating so much valuable resources and just making sure that they genuinely plug in and use them. And so, we send out tons of emails, tons of valuable newsletters. And then also in-person events are so important, right? Just like in the client, just like for clients, we do that for agents as well.
Yeah. You had people from all over the country fly in for your Christmas party that was just this last week, right before we recorded. So you've taken those events to a whole other level within the agent community. Gives me FOMO up here. I came down to one of your Austin events, but should have. We had
double. We had double people for the Christmas event, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's incredible just to see what you have done with that, and it's very obvious that the authentic self is showing through, and just helping these agents along. Right. One thing you did mention is that recognition. Right. The agents that are truly plugging in, you guys are constantly putting them, in front of, Mike for his YouTube channel and mentioning them on your social medias and shouting them out. So you've done an incredible job.
May I say something on that?
Yep, absolutely.
Back when I first got into real estate, I did not have the production to get recognition. It really made me feel left out, right? I'm not gonna lie, right? And one thing as a leader that I always highly recommend people is to recognize outside of production as well, right? People that are plugging in, that have a heart to serve, right? Maybe they're not selling a lot of houses, but they are serving, right? And so we recognize on every level in order to uplift the stokes of flames that get higher and higher, because two pieces of sticks are better than one piece of stick, right? And so the flame just gets higher and higher if we recognize everyone, not just from production. Obviously, production is one of the most important parts, but the people that have big hearts, the people that have gone through hard times, the people that have continually serve when it comes to our first Friday meetings a month, right? Those are the things that we recognize because not everyone can be a full-time agent, and that's okay. And we still recognize them,
Yeah, and I think that's important, right? It's not just when you are getting a revenue share check on the back end of a deal. It's, sometimes recognition for, just trying something new, right? And having that failure could change it completely, right? If you're like, hey, you gave this your all, you tried, it didn't work out, but keep going. That kind of encouragement and recognition goes a long way, especially in this industry, man. 2025 was a weird year, right? And I think there's a lot going on in the world and a lot going on in our industry, right? With coming off of the buyer commission lawsuits. And then you have, some new clear cooperation stuff going on, and a lot of stuff in our industry that just, it makes it difficult. Right. And if there's someone out there trying to plug something in, asking the right questions, I mean, there's place for recognition for that. And you guys obviously do an amazing job.
Well, I think culture is just so important, and building an amazing culture is like the gasoline to a fire. Right. And what comes with an amazing culture is recognizing those that are plugging in, but even the ones that aren't getting the results immediately, like still recognizing them, and it's just so important, because because you never know the conversations that are happening that we aren't present to, right? Like, man, I tried my hardest, but they're still, giving me recognition. That means a lot to me. Instead of, man, I tried my hardest, I'm going to try to this other brokerage and they're going to get the same results, right?
Yep. I've been, posting these YouTube videos for 3 months and I haven't gotten anything and my views are low, whatever, right? Because that's right when you guys kind of swoop in and you're like, hey, keep going. You put up, 3 months of consecutive YouTube videos, those kind of things. And that goes a long way. And obviously the true reason for some of your partnership success is certainly that kind of just being there and caring, right? Building that ecosystem and the culture up. So, man, I think we got everything covered. The book's coming out in the summer, hopefully of 2026. So definitely follow along on Instagram. This guy will be posting all about that. But where can people connect with you if they're interested in seeing more, a little bit behind the scenes of John Michael Perez and all of the real estate stuff you got going on?
Yeah, I would be so appreciative to go follow me on Instagram at John Michael Perez. I've got tons of resources on my Instagram as well, shared tons of valuable strategies to get more leads. And then also, if you do join our agent protocol community, just give me a heads up because I'd love to be able to partner with Jeremy as well so that we can co-sponsor together. Both of our lineages have so much value. And I think that it would be almost a stupid idea not to partner up with us because of the amazing amount of value. Jeremy, in his own right, has sold so many houses, is a mentor, is a leader, is someone that so many agents look up to, and he would be an amazing option if you've ever considered EXP. And there's so many stigmas about EXP and the wolfpack, and the thing is like you never truly know unless you have a conversation. So that's one thing that I want to invite you, the listeners, if you've never even at least had a conversation, please do, because we've just got so much heart and we just want to serve you the best so that you can truly succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Meeting agents right where they're at, right? Both of our family trajectories are very different because of the EXP model. Yep. So absolutely, man. Thanks so much for popping on. And I can't wait to get a copy of that book and read the foreword. We'll see who the foreword's by, but you'll have to wait and find out. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time on the Wolfpack Way.